Yo, welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops with your boy Nikki P. You know who it is, man. And you saw the thumbnail. We're going to dive into some of the greatest players to ever lace them up in terms of a talent perspective. But, might have had their careers derailed with injury. They had all-time great talent, but didn't quite have the career to go along with the talent. But in a vacuum, these guys were some savages out there. And so, basketball is a game of skill, athleticism, and endurance. But sometimes, even the most talented players see their careers cut short due to some injuries. Some of these players had the potential to be all-time greats, and despite not fulfilling their potential, their sheer talent ensures they'll always be remembered. Brandon Roy, the perfect modern-day shooting guard, man. He was a savage. Go look him up, man. The dude had no weaknesses in his game. He had everything you could want in a guard: size, skill, IQ, clutch ability. He was a 3-time All-Star with Portland, the Trailblazers, known for his smooth handle, mid-range mastery, and ability to finish at the rim, and he could step outside and hit the three. Roy played the game at his own pace, never rushed, always in control, had a smooth game. However, chronic knee issues forced him to retire at just 27 years old. Without those injuries, he could have been a potential perennial All-Star and one of the greatest shooting guards to ever live. Tracy McGrady, y'all know who that is, 2-time scoring champ, even with all the injuries. At his peak, he was a walking bucket, man, standing at about 6'8", 6'9", with elite athleticism. He could shoot, create off the dribble, posterize you, had crazy speed, posterized defenders with ease. He was a 2-time scoring champ, like I just mentioned, that had a legendary 13 points in 35 seconds in the game. You could go back, I'm sure that's on YouTube. You could go look that portion of the game up. It was crazy. But back and knee injuries robbed him of his longevity in the NBA. Had he stayed healthy, McGrady could have solidified himself and had more years in his prime and been in the same conversation as Kobe and, other all-time greats. Grant Hill, the next Jordan before injury struck. In the late 90s, Grant Hill was supposed to be the heir to Michael Jordan's throne, a dynamic forward with an all-around game. He could score, pass, defend at an elite level. Before injuries, he was averaging 25 to 26 a game and dominating in Detroit. Him and Jerry Stackhouse was a crazy duo for a while over there in Detroit, man. There were some killers out there getting after it. Though he reinvented himself as a role player later on and was able to, carve out some more efficient years in the NBA, we always wonder what he could have been if he stayed fully healthy and had a lot longer time in his prime. Greg Oden, one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. Drafted ahead of KD in 2007. Greg Oden was supposed to be the next dominant big man at 7 feet tall, elite shot blocking and rebounding skills, had the tools to become a generational center, had the post game, could finish with the left, finish with the right, had a soft touch on the mid-range jumper. He had a full game for a big. But constant knee surgeries meant he barely played in the NBA, never getting a chance to really live up to his potential. He remains one of the biggest what-could-have-been stories in basketball history, because he definitely had the talent to be one of the greatest centers to ever do it. Speaking of one of the greatest centers to ever do it, Yao Ming wasn't just a basketball player. He was a global icon. At 7'6", he had an unreal combination of touch, footwork. His footwork was crazy. He could shoot, passing ability. Extremely high basketball IQ. Yao Ming was a dominant player when he was healthy and playing out there. When healthy, he was an all-NBA center and could dominate anyone in the post and could stretch you out to the mid-range and post you up, finish with the right, with the left. He had the complete game. But foot and ankle injuries forced him to retire early. Had he stayed healthy, Yao could have had a much longer career and perhaps led the Rockets to an NBA Finals out there with T-Mac. Next up, speaking of a Houston Rocket, Steve Francis was one of the most electrifying guards of his time. With an explosive first step, ridiculous hops, and a killer crossover, he was a nightmare for defenders. He made 3 All-Star appearances and was the face of the Houston Rockets before injuries and other issues ended his prime early. Had he been able to stay in his peak form longer, he could have had a much greater legacy in NBA history. Might have one of the best handles. Arguably, you could make an argument that he had one of the best handle ever. Man, he was just so explosive and powerful with his crossovers and had complete control of the ball, had the ball on a string. It was crazy, man, and was just so explosive with it. He's up there with some of the best handles ever. People talk about Kyrie, AI, so on and so forth. Steve Francis is right in that mix. Penny Hardaway. At 6'7", Penny was a point guard who could do everything. Score, pass, defend, make the game look easy. Teaming up with Shaq Diesel in Orlando, he looked like the next Magic Johnson. But devastating knee injuries sapped his explosiveness and he never fully regained his dominance. If Penny had stayed healthy, he could have been one of the greatest point guards of all time. One of the greatest players of all time, period. Bill Walton, a big man ahead of his time, man. Bill Walton's 1977 NBA Finals performance with Portland is one of the greatest ever by a center. He was a dominant force, an elite defender, passer, rebounder, but chronic foot injuries limited his career, forcing him to miss significant time. When he was on the floor, he was one of the best big men ever, but injuries robbed him of a longer prime. Jay Williams, a star before his career even started. He was supposed to be the Chicago Bulls' next great point guard. A college superstar at Duke, he had the vision, speed, and leadership to be an all-star in the NBA and could score with the best of them. But a tragic motorcycle accident after his rookie season ended his career before it truly began. He's a cautionary tale of how quickly things can change in professional sports. But he's up there doing his thing as an analyst now, so salute to him, man. Major props. Pistol Pete Maravich was one of the most creative and skilled scorers of all time. His ball handling and shot-making ability were ahead of his era, and he remains one of the greatest college players of all time as well. But knee injuries and a heart condition limited his NBA career. Despite this, his talent was so undeniable that he still be remembered as one of the best pure scorers and arguably the best passer, up there with the likes of Magic Johnson to ever play the game. In conclusion, injuries are the cruelest opponent in basketball and sports in general. They've stolen legends from the game before they could reach their full potential. Whether it was Brandon Roy's clutch ability, McGrady's effortless scoring ability, or Penny's all-around brilliance, these players will always be remembered for their sheer talent, even though their careers didn't go quite as expected. Their stories remind us of a fine line between greatness and what could have been. And yeah, shout out to all these players, man. Go look them up. You could really learn something from all their games because a lot of them had complete games. Yeah, much love and props to all these players that was out there killing, even though their careers didn't really quite pan out. Yo, the real ones know how great these cats were. And yeah, let me know what you think. Is somebody missing on this list? Who else you think should be included up in here that has some of the best talent of all time, but didn't quite have one of the best careers of all time due to injury or, other reasons why they had to make an early exit? Let me know. Hop in that comment section, chime in. You know who it is. It's your boy, Nikki P. It's Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops. And thanks for tapping in once again. I'll be back with another one soon. Peace.